Welcome to Education SMEPOINT. Procurement interview questions and answer. Subscribe, like and comments. What is procurement? Procurement refers to techniques, structured methods, and means used to streamline an organization's procurement process and achieve desired results while saving cost, reducing time, and building win-win supplier relationships. Procurement can be direct, indirect, reactive, or proactive in nature. Strategic level procurement value: becoming a customer-facing capability, connecting commercial and technical capabilities of the company, activating key supplier relationships, reducing supply vulnerability, accessing new products, R&D and innovation, lowering costs, delivering high-quality goods and services, creating transparency across the company's spend activities. Procurement advantages: low-cost new potential markets, knowing how to do business, tapping into skills or resources unavailable domestically, developing alternate supplier/vendor sources to stimulate competition, increasing total supply capacity. Request for quotation, RFQ. A request for quotation, RFQ, is a document that an organization submits to one or more potential suppliers eliciting quotations for a product or service. Typically, an RFQ seeks an itemized list of prices for something that is well defined and quantifiable, such as hardware. Another type of document, called a request for proposals, RFP, is customarily used when the requesting organization's requirements are more complex. E-Procurement. Procurement and e-sourcing platforms are both implemented in most companies' systems, processes and tools. Both platforms are used on a day-to-day basis in a modern procurement division. But, where e-sourcing platforms are in place to ensure that the optimal contracts are negotiated with suppliers, e-procurement platforms are in place to secure the optimal flow of goods and services based on those contracts. An e-procurement platform covers the flow of ordering, receiving and payment of goods and services. Companies can track purchases made by all departments and ensure compliance with company standards. What is SMEPO? A statement of work, SOW, is a formal document that captures and defines the work activities, deliverables and timeline a vendor will execute against in performance of specified work for a client. The SOW typically forms part of a purchase order or contract. Education SMEPOINT. Subscribe the channel, like, comments. Benefits of e-procurement. E-procurement often offers substantial benefits to the purchasing organization, such as cost savings, shorter purchasing cycles, improved inventory control, transparency. What is a purchase order? A purchase order is sent a buyer to his sender to final confirm the requirements. Instead of having the names and quantity of materials, purchase order also has valuable information like details of purchasing company with a company code, name of material along with the corresponding plant, and date for delivery of material. So important. All of those documents are important, but the statement of work, SO, is easily one of the most important because it's made at the outset of a project and outlines everything that needs to go into your project. What is internal procurement? In large organizations, there are different separate businesses. With an internal procurement process, the requirements of material and services are gathered from an identical company. However, each of identical company has to maintain a complete bookkeeping system along with separate profit and loss statements, balance sheets. What is external procurement? Procurement of products or services is done from external vendors. It is known as external procurement. It has three primary forms, such as one-time orders. This term is used for those goods that are needed regularly. Longer-term contracts. This term is used for those materials that are ordered regularly in large quantities. Longer-term scheduling agreements. This term is used for that material, which is ordered regularly and also in large quantities. What is RFQ? RFQ is a request for quotation. It is an invitation that is sent to sellers to submit quotes showing pricing and also terms and conditions. RFQ also has details regarding the date of delivery, goods and services, quantity, and date of submission also. How can we use purchase info record? It is used to store information about the material and also about that vendor who is supplying that material. Education SMEPOINT. Subscribe the channel, like, comments. Name the different procurement types that you can establish. Purchase requisition in SAP Material Management. A purchase requisition is created for the following procurement types: stock transfer, transfer of material within the organization; subcontracting, sending raw material to the seller and getting back finished material; standard, getting back finished material from the seller; external service, availing services from third-party sellers like maintenance; consignment, paying to the seller regarding the procuring material that is available on the company's premises. Explain the terms production order and purchase order. Production order, it decides which material needs to be prepared at which time and location and also concern about the quantity required. It also determines about components and sequence of operations that need to be involved. Moreover, it also concerns about the order costs need to be resolved. Purchase order, it is issued by a vendor or a factory to supply a certain quantity of products and services at a particular time and location. Name the different types of basic procurement. External versus internal procurement. Procurement for stock versus consumption. How can you differentiate procurement for stock versus consumption? Procurement for stock, it means the storage of material in stock. In it, the material gets stored once it's received from the seller. The quantity of stock material depends upon the demand for the material. To record all information about the stock, we maintain the master record in the system. Procurement for direct consumption, when the storage of material is used or consumed once it's received, it is known as procurement for direct consumption. Before ordering material for consumption, a master record is maintained within the system. What steps are involved in procurement lifecycle? Check about the requirements. The procurement process starts with gathering information about the goods and their quantity. Once gathered all the information, the necessary steps are taken to find out the suppliers to satisfy the requirements. Contact suppliers. After gathering all the information, the next will be to look for suppliers to get the requirements. Then, quotation requests are sent to suppliers to get the best rates. Review about the background. Once you get known about the suppliers, necessary steps are taken to investigate the suppliers like warranties, maintenance services, etc. that he can offer along with supply. Negotiation. After reviewing the background, negotiation is done by the buyer. Whatever negotiation is made, it is finalized by an agreement along with other information like delivery date, the quantity of material, etc. Fulfillment of order. Finally, the order becomes delivered to the supplier accordingly ordered. Consumption, maintenance, and disposal. Lastly, necessary steps are initiated to consume, maintained, and dispose of the material. What is invoice processing? It is used by a company's account payable to manage supplier invoices. Invoice processing is initiated when an invoice is accepted and ends when it becomes clear, and it becomes shown in the general ledger. What is MIGO? MIGO means movement in goods out. It is used for those goods that are moving out like from plant to plant transfer, goods receipt, storage location to storage location transfer, etc. The term MIGO is used by the logistics departments. What is an RFI? RFI means a request for information. It is used for the business process that assembles written information about the competencies of sellers. What is an RFP? RFP means request for proposal. It is a document where a proposal is sent by a company or agency for the acquisition of some goods and services to any potential seller to send business proposals. Which steps are used in the RFQ process? There are a number of steps used to process RFQ. First, enter the T code, transaction code as ME41, then enter the RFQ type as in. After this, write down the location, i.e., the late date when the seller submits the quotation. Now, enter the purchasing group, delivery date, and other information, and press on the click button. After this, you will be able to watch a new screen wherein you have to fill the item codes. Now enter the item codes and also the vendor's details. Moreover, more requests can be made as per vendor's details. What is a purchase requisition? It is a primary document to launch a product or supply purchase. It is used as part of the accounting method. With this document, the buyer is able to get an idea about the purchases and also identifies the business requirements. What is RTP? RTP means returnable transport packaging. It is a multi-trip packaging medium where goods or products are transported more than a single time between customers and retailers. How can purchase requisition is created and released in SAP MM? With the help of T-code ME51N, a purchase requisition is created with the help of this process. First, execution of ME51N transaction. Then, arrange purchase requisition document type, NB. Now source determination, off or on. Now enter heater note, material number, IM, quantity, and storage location. Then, the vendor is automatically decided with source determination. Now add the tracking number, valuation prices, and final save the transaction data. What is the difference between the terms RFQ, RFI, and RFP in SAP MM? Invoice is processed, then RFI assembles seller's information. RFQ gets the best price for the whole project while RFP creates the best project. In a case of status of the solution, RFI doesn't define anything, RFQ defines the details and project clearly, while RFP understands the entire situation. Moreover, RFI offers information about the sellers, RFQ provides the statement of work regarding a project, while RFP defines pricing details. What is a purchase requisition and define various requisitions? It is a formal request intended to procure, buy something that is needed by the organization. It is created and approved by the department requiring the goods and services. Requisitions are of two types, internal requisition, purchase requisition. Internal requisitions are created if the items are to be obtained from one inventory location to another location within the same organization. Here the source of the requisition would be inventory. There is no approval process for the internal requisition. Purchase requisitions are created if the goods are obtained from external suppliers. Here the source of the requisition would be suppliers. The purchase requisitions are sent for approvals. What are the success components of an organization that procurement can always build? Market placement, company identity, settling management issues, enhancing company capabilities. If we buy a customized product from single sources, how will you know if price is fair? Price comparison is easy when you are buying a standard product that is offered by multiple suppliers. You have easy access to price data points for comparison. But, when you are purchasing a customized product from a single source, you do not have the luxury of multiple price data points. Therefore, you need to use other techniques. One of those other techniques is using a should-cost model. How do you build a sourcing strategy? The first step of building a sourcing strategy is creating a savings strategy outline. A savings strategy outline will list all tasks that you plan to accomplish during a sourcing initiative. For each of those tasks, you will list target commencement dates, actual commencement dates, target completion dates, actual completion dates, target annual savings and actual annual savings. Obviously, at the beginning of your sourcing initiative, your savings strategy outline will only contain target dates. But, as you progress through your sourcing initiative, you will add actual dates. The tasks that you will include in your savings strategy outline are taught in great detail in our online course, Savings Strategy Development. How do you keep records of suppliers? Cost of supplies, use of supplies, for consumption versus for use in manufacturing or billable services, the cost of poor supply record keeping versus the cost of keeping records, and so forth. Higher value, higher volume supplies that are considered direct costs. An inventory management system should be used to track supplies. This is important for a number of reasons, including accounting accuracy, replenishment efficiency, which are the key procurement services. Every organization has different goals and different situations. Cost savings managed spend as a percentage of total spend. Cost savings as a percentage of managed spend. Procurement operating costs as a percentage of managed spend. Return on investment. Percent of on-time supplier deliveries. Supplier defect rate. Customer satisfaction. What are the prime responsibilities of a procurement manager? Prime responsibilities is to buy and make sure of the availability of goods. They need to make sure they are buying the same at best available prices so that profits for the organization can simply be enhanced. Those with a good background in academics and finance can enable organizations to get results better than expected. What are the important tasks that matter a lot when it comes to handling a procurement process? There are actually certain things which are really very important. It is not possible for the organizations to make sure that everything goes best in the process if they don't pay attention to this. The very first thing is to pay attention to the selection of vendors who have a good reputation in the market. Once they are selected, next is to establish the payment terms which make sure no future conflicts. Procurement is actually an umbrella term in which purchasing can be considered integrated. Why is stock verification necessary at the time of delivery for the buyers? It simply enables buyers to make sure that no damaged goods have been supplied to the buyers. In case there is an issue with the goods provided, buyers can raise a refund or a replacement for the same. Verification at a later date than receiving the stock can create conflicts between both the parties. If the stock is not as per requirement, obviously it is a huge loss for the buyer. Thanks for watching Education SMEPOINT. Subscribe the channel, like, comments.